All right, Republican lawmakers, they have been raising concerns over Biden's mental fitness now for many years. And after yesterday's really damning report and disastrous press conference, more Republicans, they're speaking out. They're questioning whether or not Biden should be replaced on the 2024 ticket. And even Democrats know how much trouble Joe is in. Now, this morning, Democratic strategist Paul Begala admitted that Biden's only chance of winning is by using anti-Trump scare tactics. That's all they've been doing anyway. Take a look.
This is terrible for Democrats, and anybody with a functioning brain knows that. But here's what you do. Instead of calling a press conference saying, I really am sharp, you attack the other guy. You know, Joe Biden gave the strategy in 2012. I remember he was vice president, and he said, don't compare us to the almighty, compare us to the alternative. So everything with Biden has to be not, I'm great, but the other guy's really damaging, dangerous, a threat.
Senator Rand Paul, he poked fun at Biden's gaffes yesterday with this post on X saying, quote, he's going to build a wall with Gaza and make Mexico pay for it. And boy, are they going to be confused. Anyway, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul joins us now. I mean, it's been transparent for a long time. The media mob, I don't even think they're in denial. I think they're just a bunch of liberal hacks that claim to be journalists that aren't journalists. So I think it's very transparent. But, you know, Newt just touched on something really important. This is dangerous now. It's officially dangerous. Our enemies read this report. They got a summary of this report this morning, and I could only imagine their reaction.
You know, it would be funny if it weren't tragic and if it weren't scary. Think about this. The bar for trying someone for competency is very, very low. Routinely in our courts, we do try people with a bare minimum of intelligence. They try to ask them if they know right from wrong. If you can discern right from wrong, you can actually be tried in most courts, even with limited intelligence. So you have to realize that they're judging our president to be below that very low standard of competence, that he couldn't go through a trial because people would perceive him as maybe unable to understand the difference between right and wrong, and with a memory so bad that he's basically not competent for trial. We've never had a president with that low standard, and it isn't just tragic or funny. It's scary because, yes, we have a nuclear arsenal. Complicated decisions would have to be made within minutes if someone were attacking us. And yes, this does give our enemies a window into a situation that is very, very dangerous. And, you know, for the Democrats to say, oh, well, we're just going to ignore his incompetence to the level of not even be competent that he could be tried, and we're going to say, well, let's just attack the other guy. Sometimes political attacks work, but there have been so many attacks on Trump that, you know, he's probably the king of Teflon in the sense that so much of it bounces off. But this is going to stick to Biden, and I think he's going to have a difficult time running. They can try putting him in the basement again like they did during COVID. And frankly, that's about all they can do. They should take him off of the trail, put him in a basement. But we should not relent in pointing out that he can't even pass the competency test to be tried as an adult.
I mean, these are devastating comments that he had and displayed significant limitations in memory. He didn't remember when he was vice president. He didn't know if it was I still vice president in 2009 and 2013, whatever year it was. And he doesn't know these things, but they did conclude that he willfully retained and disclosed classified materials. I don't think you get to have it both ways. I don't think you get to say, yeah, he definitely did this willfully, but because he's a cognitive mess and he's going to come off as a nice guy that's old with memory loss, that no jury will convict him, that's a way out. And I think Josh Hawley is right in that sense in saying either indict him or invoke the 25th Amendment. But I don't think you're going to get that out of this attorney general. I think he has been weaponized that department to such an extent, you'd never see an act of courage like that, ever.
Yeah, and I think it's important if we're talking about Biden and Trump, you know, both having classified records, but there's going to be a different standard. But it even goes beyond that. Equal protection under the law, when we have failed that in our country, when it didn't seem to be adhered to during the 1950s and 60s, or maybe before as well for African Americans, it led to civil strife in our country. And we got beyond that, but it was a very difficult time in our history, and we made the law better, and we have equal protection, I think, regardless of race, and I think we do a much better job than we ever did 50, 70 years ago. But now if you don't have equal justice under the law because of the shade of your ideology, it can be just as bad. There can be strife, there can be unrest, there can be civil discord. There can be a real problem in a country if this extends where only certain people are prosecuted and other people aren't. And people are seeing this. You know, look at January 6th. Many of the people who were prosecuted under January 6th had similar crimes to the women that chained themselves and writhed on the floor in the Hart office building protesting against Kavanaugh. They were trespassing. They were told to leave, didn't leave. And we've always treated trespassers like that as a form of speech, and their punishment was to be made to leave. Instead, with January 6th, the punishment was jail.
As your doctor, I'm going to urge you to take a slight sip of water, maybe have your own little Marco Rubio moment. Poor Marco will never play that down. It's unfair, but as an acting doctor on television, I say you might want to try Ricola for your throat. That's what I use, and it seems to work pretty well. But anyway, Senator, great to have you. Thanks for your analysis. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.